That song that played at just the right moment. The scent in the empty room. The dream that felt too real to be just a dream. You've been there. And you've probably never told anyone. Because part of you knew it was real. And part of you was afraid to believe it. Cayce documented over 14,000 readings on the soul's journey after death. And what he found will change everything you believe about what happens next. Not decades later. Not at the final judgment. In the first 12 months. In the first 12 months after someone you loved passes away. The soul undergoes the most intense transformation of its entire existence. And you're still connected to it through every moment of it. Don't leave. If this has touched you, hit that like button now. Share this with someone who has lost someone they loved. And subscribe, because this channel goes deep where most don't. Cayce described the moment of death in dozens of readings. And what he saw was never what religions teach. There is no immediate tunnel of light. There are no golden gates. There is no judgment. There is something far more surprising. Consciousness. Total, complete, unmistakable consciousness. The soul is still itself. With all its memories. With all its feelings. With all its thoughts. Death does not erase, Cayce said. It just changes the address. And in the first 3 days, Cayce was specific about this milestone. The soul goes through what he called the review. Not the life review you know. Something deeper. Imagine being able to see every moment of your existence, not from your perspective, but from the perspective of every person you've ever met. Every word spoken in anger, you feel the pain it caused. Every gesture of kindness, you feel the relief it created in another heart. There is no external judgment in this process. There is only understanding. Cayce documented a reading he never forgot. A woman came to him in despair. Her husband had died suddenly in an accident. Cayce went into a trance. When he came out, there were tears in his eyes. He wants you to know, Cayce said, that he finally understands why you always asked him to drive carefully. Every time you said that, you were saying, "I love you." He never heard it that way before. But he hears it now. Cayce noticed a pattern that repeated itself reading after reading. And what impressed him most was realizing that this same pattern appeared in completely different traditions: Tibetan Buddhism, Eastern Orthodox Christianity, Native American traditions. They all highlighted the same point. The 40th day. Cayce said that this is when the real journey begins. The soul, which until then had remained close, begins to vibrate differently. It must choose to move forward or to stay. And here is something Cayce discovered that will change how you view grief. Some souls stay. Not because they are trapped. Not because they are troubled spirits. But because they love. Cayce described a reading in which a mother who had passed away was so worried about her teenage daughter that she couldn't move on. She was holding her own vibration in a lower state to stay close to earth, to somehow protect her daughter. The tragedy: the daughter was spiraling, in part because she couldn't feel her mother's presence. The mother's own effort to stay close was creating a barrier to the communication her daughter needed most. "I need to stop here. Because I want to ask you something. Did you feel someone's presence in the first few days or weeks after they passed? A sign? A dream? A feeling?" Go to the comments now and write what you experienced. It doesn't have to be long. It can be just one line. Because when you read what other people experienced, you realize you weren't imagining things. Write it now. And leave a like if this is resonating with you. Around 6 months in, Cayce described something he called learning rooms. Don't imagine rooms with chairs and blackboards. Imagine having simultaneous access to the answers to every question you've ever had. Why did that relationship end that way? Why did that suffering enter your life? Why did that person arrive at exactly that moment? The soul sees everything. The contracts made before birth. The lessons chosen before arriving. The growth that came from pain. And it was during this period that Cayce observed something extraordinary. The soul develops specific communication codes for the people it loves. Not random. Chosen with precision, based on shared memories, private meanings, symbols that only the two of you knew. Cayce documented a man who kept finding stones in impossible places. Inside a locked car. In the pocket of a jacket he hadn't worn in years. Inside sealed packages. Cayce smiled and said, "Your father collected rocks during the Depression, didn't he? He's showing you that even in scarcity, abundance finds a way. Stop looking for the rocks. Start looking for the abundance he's pointing to." The man broke down in tears. He had been so closed off by financial fear since his father's death that he had shut the door on opportunities. The signs weren't just messages. They were instructions. Before I continue, I want to start something here in the comments. If you've ever received a sign like this, a song, an object, a number, a dream, write it down now. Describe what it was. Because Cayce said these codes are unique to each relationship. And when you share yours, you may be helping someone else recognize theirs. I read every comment. Without exception. Here's something Cayce discovered that almost no one has the courage to say. Your sadness affects the soul that has departed. Not in the way you think. They don't suffer because you're sad. They understand the sadness. They feel the love within it. But there is a specific kind of sadness, the kind that refuses to let go, that demands the return of what cannot come back. Cayce called this a magnetic anchor. A force that keeps the soul trapped between two worlds. He documented a reading in which a mother had cried for 3 years, begging her son to return. Cayce, in a trance, spoke in the son's voice. "Mother, your tears are chains that bind me. They love me. They remind me. But they do not set me free. I have work to do. And so do you." The mother was angry at first. But then she understood. Her son wasn't asking not to be loved. He was asking for love to transform, from a prison into a bridge. Cayce said something that needs to be said out loud. The greatest gift you can give to those who have departed is to live fully. To love freely. To grow constantly. Because the joy of those left behind is the channel through which those who have departed can still participate in the world. When you close yourself off, you close the very channel through which they communicate. Cayce called the 1-year milestone the cosmic anniversary. The soul's first complete cycle in its new state. And here's what impressed him most. The clearest communications, the most undeniable signs, happen precisely during this period. Not because the soul is closer. In fact, it is farther away, more advanced on its journey. But because you, the one left behind, are finally ready to receive. In the first few months, the pain is like static on a radio. You can't tune in. By the 1-year mark, that sharp pain transforms into something different, a gentle longing mixed with acceptance. And in this quieter state, you become receptive. Cayce documented countless cases of extraordinary signs on these anniversaries. A man whose daughter had died found her favorite toy, lost 20 years ago, on the exact anniversary, in a place where it couldn't possibly be. Cayce said, "These are not coincidences. They are communications that require an immense effort from the soul to manifest. It is her way of saying, I've arrived. I'm okay. And I'm still connected to you." So what does all this mean for you now? First, the signs you've received are real. Cayce documented identical patterns in hundreds of readings: the song, the scent, the vivid dream, the object found in an impossible place. These aren't figments of a grieving heart's imagination. They're forms of communication the soul developed specifically for you. If you felt them, you recognized them correctly. Second, grief is love, but love can evolve. Cayce was clear that there is nothing wrong with feeling the loss. The question is what you do with it. Transforming grief into purpose, into growth, into full presence in your own life, that is not betraying those who have passed. It is the deepest way to honor them. Third, the connection does not end with death. It changes form. Cayce said that departed souls remain connected to the people they loved, and that this connection deepens as both sides grow. You are not alone on this journey. And they are not lost. So remember what Edgar Cayce documented about the first year after death. In the first 3 days, the soul undergoes the most thorough review of its existence. Finally understanding everything it didn't understand in life. On the 40th day, the real journey begins. The choice to move forward, or to stay out of love. At 6 months, communication codes are established. The signs become clearer. The messages more specific. On the 1-year anniversary, the cosmic gift. Clearer communication. Confirmation that the connection remains. And the truth that runs through it all. Death does not erase. It merely changes the address. If this video resonated with you, give it a like now. Subscribe and turn on notifications. And head over to the comments. Write about the most meaningful sign you've ever received from someone who's passed away. It can be a single line. It can be a story. I read them all. Because sometimes, the greatest comfort comes from knowing that others have walked this path too. And that no one walks alone. Stay informed. Stay prepared. Until next time.